By far one of 2018's most anticipated games is Insomniac Games' PlayStation 4 exclusive Marvel's Spider-Man. For years, many fans including myself have been awaiting a new grand open world experience featuring one of our favorite superheroes. In the past, we had the Arkham franchise developed by Rocksteady Games, which is in my opinion probably the best superhero game franchise featuring an open world. We've had great superhero games in the past, like Injustice, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and even some of the older Spider-Man games which made up my early childhood days as a gamer. But I would be lying if I didn't admit superhero games have so much potential but haven't been pushed to the full extent. Yet. There's a wide array of phenomenal superhero characters that are deserving of the level of attention that some massive AAA games get. That's why it's great to see Spider-Man getting the attention and development needed to provide a grand experience. Something that hopefully opens the doors to other characters getting their own dedicated titles in the future. Nonetheless, today we are going to be taking a look at 5 of the most important things you must know about Marvel's PlayStation exclusive Spider-Man. At the 5 spot, we are going to begin with the gameplay. This upcoming Spider-Man has clearly taken a few notes from the Arkham franchise. Looking to our first gameplay demo, we get to see some of Spider-Man's stealth gameplay as he stalks his enemies and webs them up one by one. Aside from our first look at stealth, we also got to see Spider-Man take on a few enemies in hand-to-hand combat, where he counters moves and strikes back in a style very similar again to Arkham. Clearly though, Spider-Man moves much faster using his web slinging to his advantage as he jumps over enemies and avoids attacks. Also, with the help of, I'm guessing, his senses, right as an enemy prepares to attack, their body highlights in red, allowing us to make the necessary move to avoid the attack. Additionally, during these combat encounters, it appears we can use parts of the world to assist in taking out enemies, such as moving a steel beam to take down multiple enemies, and simply throwing a brick at an enemy. Outside of combat encounters, we also have QuickTime events that can be used for certain sequences. It's unknown the extent of this feature, but it could be used in random encounters across the city, like an enemy robbing someone in an alley as well as missions. Like most Spider-Man games, we will be playing this from a third-person perspective within the open world of New York City. We'll use our web slinging and crawling abilities to traverse through the world, as well as for the first time the ability to parkour. There also will be some level of customization, as Insomniac has confirmed that there will be alternate outfits to use as Spider-Man. It seems to be this is only some of the gameplay features that will be within the game, but so far it seems Insomniac is using what has worked well in other games like Arkham to provide an enjoyable gameplay experience, and it looks great at this point. Now to our 4th spot is the development of this game. It's important to understand the hard work and passion that Insomniac Games is investing into this open world title. This is a developer that is composed of 275 plus employees, being founded in 1994, and is best known for some of the following games: Spyro, Ratchet & Clank, Resistance, and most recently Sunset Overdrive. Insomniac Games has stated this upcoming Spider-Man title will be 4 to 6 times bigger than Sunset Overdrive's open world, which certainly appears this developer is hard at work bringing alive New York City. If there is any worries about the actual narrative and authenticity, Marvel and Insomniac are working closely together. Some of the notable individuals working on this game include Brian Inahar, who is the creative director of this project, and Ryan Smith, who is the game director. It's been confirmed that this Spider-Man title is using Sunset Overdrive's modified game engine, and this game features the largest production team ever for an Insomniac game. The most important thing to note is Insomniac Games is considered one of the best developers within this gaming industry, and this seems to be just the beginning of Marvel's mission to work with the best gaming companies who are passionate about their characters. To the 3 spot we have is the characters. Outside of just playing as Spider-Man, we are going to play as Peter Parker, but in certain scenarios we will play as Mary Jane Watson. It's said that this Spider-Man game we're going to see a lot of characters that are well known but assuming different roles. One of those obviously being Miles Morales, which surprised many fans but also made them ponder his role within the story. Insomniac Games has said the following regarding those questions, quote unquote, "That was Miles Morales. I would say that our universe is different. You may have seen the sign say re-elect Osborn for mayor. That's obviously very different from any other Spider-Man universe, so you'll find a lot of characters in our universe that are familiar characters that may be in new roles. So far, we also know some of the other featured characters and villains within the game, which include Aunt May, Wilson Fisk or Kingpin, Shocker, Norman Osborn, and Martin Lee or Mr. Negative. Following that, let's move to the actual story at the number 2 spot. Thus far, we know Peter Parker is 23 years old and interning at a laboratory while about to graduate from college. Peter has been Spider-Man for 8 years and has settled into the role as protector of New York City. Early in the story, Spider-Man defeats Wilson Fisk or Kingpin. Afterwards, a new gang emerges known as the Inner Demons, who are now taking over Fisk's territory. Spider-Man then arrives at a construction site owned by Kingpin and must defend Kingpin's men who are under attack by the inner demons. While fending off the inner demons from the construction site, Peter learns that Martin Lee, one of New York's most prominent philanthropists, leads the inner demons under his alter ego, Mr. Negative. Martin runs the feast shelters located across the city, which complicates things for Peter's personal life as his Aunt May works at Feast. In one of our recent trailers shown at the Paris Game Show, we also got a little bit of a better idea what the story will be like, as Peter Parker hopes to tone down his Spider-Man role in favor of living his normal life following Wilson Fisk getting arrested, in which Fisk interestingly states that he kept order in the city. Eventually though, it looks like with Fisk now in custody, a new villain arises, Mr. Negative, and his gang, the Inner Demons, wreaking havoc upon New York City, and Mr. Negative makes threats to an unknown devastating plan to Spider-Man. Either way, it seems like Peter Parker is going to have his hands full, as Insomniac acknowledges, quote-unquote, he's taken down his adversary with Wilson Fisk, but his personal life is still a mess. He's still Peter Parker, the bills still are not being paid, he's juggling his personal relationships and his work life and trying to be Spider-Man. One of the big things for us is that it's really critical that in a good Spider-Man story, you see those two worlds collide. Insomniac also has stated that Peter, being 23 years old, is in his prime at being Spider-Man. He's masterful at it, he's been fighting crime for a while. But down to our final #1 spot is when we will get our hands on this title. Insomniac Games has been working on this Spider-Man title for quite some time now, and earlier this year there was some rumors of a launch this year, but it's now been confirmed that this exclusive PlayStation title will come in early 2018. Soon we should be getting an exact date. All we know right now is that it is coming in the first half of 2018, but it's been rumored for quite some time that it will release somewhere between March to June of 2018. Either way, I think the overall thinking for most of us is that Insomniac Games takes as long as they need to deliver a rememberable and enjoyable Spider-Man title. Anyway guys, there is a lot to look forward to. Hopefully this opens the door for more superhero characters getting proper video games made. For now, there are still many questions about this Spider-Man experience that will come in due time, but we do know this game features a beautiful and stunning open world, which will hopefully be brought to life by compelling narrative, characters, and gameplay. But I do want to know what you guys think about this Spider-Man title. Is this one of your most anticipated games of 2018? Let me know in the comment section below. As usual, make sure to smack that like button if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and consider subscribing for all the latest news on huge upcoming games, and I'll see you later.